Do we ever get to see ourselves?
No, you don't see yourself, so the only way for you to know what you look like is for somebody else to, to see you.
Can you run into other people, other players on the game?
Yes, but the chances of that are incredibly rare.
In fact, it's so rare, you could say there's like a 0% chance of it ever happening. Hello and welcome to Connor Reviews, and today we are going to talk about one of the most hyped games to come out in recent history, at least in video gaming anyways, and that is No Man's Sky. Now for those of you who don't know, No Man's Sky is a space exploration game where you are thrown into one of the biggest video game worlds ever created, with 18 quintillion planets to explore. You are thrown in the outer rim of this universe, and your goal is to explore and see planets that have never been seen before, and to get to the center of the universe. Now with this review, I'm in a tough spot. See, on one hand, since this game has come out, I have clocked in about 25 hours of gameplay. And that's just since the PC release. And that also doesn't include the 2 days I spent over at my buddy's place watching him play it for the PS4 when it came out on Tuesday. So I do have some positive things to say about this game. But on the other hand, Sean Murray, the creator of this game and one of the creators of this Hello Studios, he promised that this game would have multiplayer. And as we've learned, it actually doesn't have any multiplayer. Which is odd, because if you go and check this game on Steam and look at the tags of this game say nothing about multiplayer. It says that it's a single-player game, that it's an open world, that it's a space simulator, it's a sandbox game, and it says that it's a dating simulator. Wait, what? Does it actually say it's a dating simulator? Yep. But there's no dating simulator in this game. There's nothing even close to that. Yeah, but there's no multiplayer either, so it's not like this is the first thing they've lied about. Yeah, that's a good point. See, I'm in a very tough spot here. Because while I do have a lot of positive things to say about this game, I don't like being lied to. You see, part of the reason I bought this game was because of the fact that there was multiplayer in it. But now that I know that there's no chance of there ever being multiplayer, or at least that they've said right now, I'm probably not going to be clocking in many more hours into this game, because that was part of the thing I was looking forward to doing. But I mean, really, it doesn't matter if I clock in any more hours now. I've already purchased the game. And I have a problem with that. Yeah, it was my fault for buying the game, but it's not fair. When a game company comes out and says, this is going to be in the game, it should be in there. I'm going to use an example here, and I know it's going to be a shitty example, but hear me out. My example is going to be EA Games. As slimy as they are, which trust me, they are slimy and they've done some really dirty things. At least if they say something, they'll be honest with you about it. So when they say something like, Star Wars Battlefront isn't going to have a single-player campaign, and neither is Titanfall, they're sticking by it. They are not backing down. And to at least that, I appreciate that. They warn you right up front that there's not going to be in the game. Whereas something like Hello Games, for example, the guys who created this game, or at least Sean Murray, kept telling everybody. They went on the Colbert Show and went and did interviews saying it was going to be in this game, multiplayer mode, when they damn well knew it wasn't going to be in this game. And that's not cool. You know the only companies that can actually get away with treating their fans like garbage and shitting on them and just being outright rude and lying to them? Game companies like EA Games, Blizzard Activision, or Nintendo. And you know why they can get away with that? Because they're fucking huge. Their library of games is enormous. They're titans of the video game industry, and they've made a huge impact. Each of them have games that are household names that everyone knows. Oh, I know that game. Yeah, it's by one of these big guys. These guys are huge. So yeah, they can go and shit on their fans if they want to. Why? What are you gonna do? You gonna boycott Nintendo? Really? Out of all the games they've created, have fun at boycotting all of Nintendo, or all of EA Games for that matter. These are huge titans, and it's a bit of a challenge to try and even boycott one of them, because they've got so many games to offer that you kind of just have to deal with it. But there is a difference. Now, if you're someone like Hello Games, for example, where all you have is Joe fucking Danger and No Man's Sky, you probably shouldn't be insulting your fans that you've just gained because of your game. You're an indie developer. You have very, very minimal stuff to offer people. You need to be very, very kind to your fans so that they keep coming back. Even if you release a shitty game, if you're still a good and you're great to your fans, they will keep coming back. But now, Mr. Sean Murray, whenever you go to release a game now, people are going to doubt everything you say. Whatever you, oh, the game's got this. Does it? Does it really? Is it going to be like the multiplayer in No Man's Sky where it actually doesn't exist? There is now doubt with you for the rest of your days as a game developer, which, good, there should be. You should learn from your mistakes. Next time you go to release a game, just be honest as to what is in the game. No, there's going to be no multiplayer, or we don't know yet if there's going to be multiplayer, we'll let you know. Or just own the fact, like right now, you still have yet to own the fact that there's no multiplayer. Just own it. Yes, there's no multiplayer, there never was going to be multiplayer. We apologize for the inconvenience. Maybe we'll update it in the future, probably not. Just be honest. That's what people want in a game company. There'll be a lot more less anger towards No Man's Sky right now if you just kind of outright said it. Just said, sorry, we messed up, or never made the promise in the first place. That's all I gotta say about that. So, now I'm gonna move on to the actual review itself. Now, when you first start off in this game, you start off on a planet on the far outer rim of this universe, where your ship has been destroyed and it's got some damage going on. You've got to run around this planet and try and get your ship repaired so you can get back to work on it. Fly around and explore the universe. But what makes it very interesting about this game as a whole, in this particular planet, is you are the first person on Earth to ever see that planet. The way the game is developed, the programmers themselves didn't actually go and program every one of these planets. It's 18 quintillion. There's no possible way they could do it. So they had the computer system program and create all the planets themselves, procedurally generated maps. So you truly are the first person to ever see that map. And that's a huge deal. And most of the game, while you're playing, every planet you're going to come across, you will be the only person to have ever seen that planet. And with the way it works, you may be the only one to ever see that planet, which is it's very fascinating. There's something so cool about being the first person to experience seeing something. Like an example I would have is, I came across one planet that I named Wonderland, because you can also name planets too, which is fun. You can have a lot of fun with that alone. A lot of planets named Harambe. I'm just putting it out there. But when I came across this one planet, I had a lot of fun exploring it, but particularly this one cave. And I spent a good hour just running around this little cave. Well, not little, actually. This cave was huge. And I ended up skipping a whole bunch of it because it was just so massive. And I had so much fun just running around this cave that when I actually had to go leave the planet, it was a little sad because I was the first person to ever see that cave and experience the wonder of that cave. And I'll probably be the only one because it's 18 quintillion planets. If you went and found a new planet every second for the rest of your life, you wouldn't discover all the planets. That's insane. Just insane. So, it's a very neat experience that I don't think a lot of other games can offer this idea of exploration and being able to see something that nobody else on the whole planet will have ever seen. It's very cool. Now, while I haven't been to all 18 quintillion planets, obviously, out of the 10 systems I have been to so far, most of the planets I'm really impressed with the fact that they all are different. It's not like the exact same planet with a slight difference here and there. A lot of the planets, some planets can be similar, but even then there's lots of things that do make them different, that change planet to planet. The animals are different in each one, the atmosphere is different, the weather conditions are different, even the space itself. You could be in a sector that is filled with pirates that are constantly attacking your ship, or you could be in one where everyone's just peaceful and no one ever attacks anybody. Lots of different changes to the environment, which is really nice, so constant differences. Now, the graphics themselves are also quite amazing looking in this game. Now, I'm not going to pretend that I had such a beautiful time with my graphics. My computer just barely passed the minimal requirements for what I need to run this game, so And even then, the graphics did look pretty good on my computer, which is an older computer, obviously. But I've also been watching my buddy play this on the PS4, which looked amazing. And I've got a couple buddies that actually have decent computers. And this game just, my God, it is such a beautiful game to just look at. And part of the thing that makes it so cool, it's not one of those hyper-realistic games where, like Witcher 3, where you can like see the amazing details of the graphics and skin. They go for a spacey, retro, 1960s sci-fi kind of vibe. Some of the older sci-fi stuff. That's what the look of the game is. So it looks, but it just pops so well with today's graphics and the textures that they've done with it. It's such beautiful to look at. Now, the other thing I also really loved about this game was the flow of this game. One of the big bragging things that they have talked about is this game doesn't have loading screens, which is a really big thing to brag about. But again, this is Sean Murray, so that's not entirely true. Now, don't get me wrong. There's no actual loading screens that you're used to, but there are different points where there is a loading point of some sorts. The best example I can think of is when you're hyperdriving from one sector to another sector, you enter this orangey almost light speed thing. And what that really is it loading the next sector for you. So it's not a loading screen per se, but it does look a lot better than just seeing some animal in slow motion spinning around back and forth. But besides that big one, there didn't seem to be a lot of big loading screens or loading moments that I really noticed. If you're flying around in space when you're in a system and you decide to just go into a planet's atmosphere and land on the planet, it's pretty instantaneous, even on my crappy computer. It's a little bit slower, but even then, it still looks amazing, because 1 minute you're in space, you just fly to the atmosphere, bam, you're on the planet. That is pretty damn impressive to have a whole planet load that fast. Now, this game has pretty much no story whatsoever, and as we know, this game has no multiplayer at all. So what are the big things to do in this game? Well, there's 3 big things that you can really do in this game. The first 2 are obviously bigger than the third one. The first big thing you do in this game is the exploration side of it. And as I said, it's the idea of exploring the universe, being the first person to see things. That's the big pull of this game, I argue. It's the big thing that's going to pull people in and keep people playing this game for a long term. The second big thing that you do in this game, I'm going to wait on for a second. I'll go back to it, and there's a reason for it. The third big thing that you do, while not as big as the other 2, is still a big thing you have to do on a regular basis, is fighting other ships and space battles. Now, when you're actually in a solar system and you're flying around from planet to planet, you will come across other ships. Essentially, these big, giant battleships. And these battleships, which are loaded to the T with some powerful fucking weapons on these things, these ships also have other mini-ships that will come out and attack you. Now, depending on the system you're in, sometimes you won't come across a lot of them. Other times, you'll be infested with one where there are pirate ships, these battleships, everywhere constantly attacking you. So you're going to have to get used to fighting these things. Now, the little battleships are the ones, little tiny ships that are your size. They're the ones that you can actually really battle. These battleships, they're so powerful you can't actually fight these things because they will crush you so fast. The little ships, however, depending on the number, can be a lot of fun to actually fight and get really intense. If you're fighting 1 to 2 other mini ships that just come out of nowhere and start attacking you, it's a lot of fun. It gets really intense and down to the wire. So it gets the blood flowing. But if there's any more than 2 ships fighting you at once, you've lost. There's no point in even trying because, again, you're fighting against 3 ships and they're just going to completely crush you right away, which is disappointing. Although I've been told, I can't say I've seen it myself, the farther you get into the game, apparently you'll be able to summon up AI ships, or call upon AI ships, to actually help you fight these ships, making it more possible to take on 3, 4, 5 ships at a time, maybe even 6, and making it even possible to fight on big giant battleships. Now, the only thing is, what would make it really, really fun is if there was like, I don't know, a mode where you could meet up with like real people online and actually like join a group with them and then team up together and fight these other ships, fighting little smaller pirate ships and then even going after big giant battle cruisers. Or if you didn't even want to necessarily team up with these random people, maybe you can meet up and fight other random people with ships as well. But that doesn't exist in this game, so I guess we're going to have to stick to fighting AI ships, which definitely won't get boring really, really quickly. Now, back to the second and final big thing you get to do in this game. Now, why did I skip second and go right to third? Well, because the second thing you do is one of the biggest things you do in this game, and you're going to be doing it constantly throughout it. So I figured go tackle the third thing quickly, because it's the smaller thing, and it's a little bit better than the second thing. The second thing, I have negative things to say about it. This game has lots and lots of grinding and farming. You want to repair your ship? Well, you're going to have to grind to get the right materials, and get the materials to fix your ship. You want to go do lots of grinding? Well, you're going to have to go save up money and go grind these things to get more money so that you can go buy bigger ships, so that you can collect more materials and grind for longer periods of time. It is a non-stop grind fest to do anything. You want to travel to another solar system? Well, you're going to need to grind the materials to make sure that you can make the correct fuel to travel to other systems. Constant amounts of grinding. And trust me, I know what grinding is. I've been playing World of Warcraft since vanilla WoW. But you see, with WoW there is a difference in why people are willing to grind and farm for as long as they have. That's the reason why WoW is still around 10, 12 years after its game's release. And that's because there's stuff to do. World of Warcraft is very similar to No Man's Sky, because of how vast the world is. When World of Warcraft was released, it was huge. It was its own giant world and community. And within this world was lots and lots of things to do. You can fish, you can become an archaeologist, you can do role-playing, you can go and just do quests, you can explore, you can do raids, there's so much you can do. A lot of grinding is required for all of it, but it's okay because there's so much to do that you don't necessarily mind doing it. That's where No Man's Sky has a problem. The only things you got to grind for is more money to buy bigger ships, which you use those bigger ships to collect more materials for grinding, and space battles, which, as we discussed, you're only fighting AIs, so that gets pretty boring after a while, and traveling from solar system to solar system. That's the only reason that grinding is there. There's nothing to do, so that can get pretty boring really fast. You've got to hope with a game like this, if the exploration is enough to keep driving you forward, the grinding isn't bad, but if that exploration is enough to keep you going, the grinding is going to get old very, very quickly. So, to sum up No Man's Sky, do I think No Man's Sky is a bad game? No. I think it's a good game. But that's it. Do I think it's one of the best games of all time? Not even close. But do I think it's a good game? Yes. And I think they have done the exploration side of it, incredibly well. The one thing I will give this game credit for is, like all big games, it has pushed the industry forward. At least I like to think it has. 18 quintillion planets is a huge deal, and is a huge milestone for gaming itself. So that, I feel, is going to push games forward in a better direction. Maybe somebody's going to play this game and love it so much, but find what we all see, there's a lack of things to do in the game. Maybe somebody's going to go, I'm going to create my own game like No Man's Sky, but just fill it with content, fill it with different things to do, put multiplayer in there, PvP, maybe building construction, just things to do, make it a huge MMO, just this huge, vast world with so much to do in it. Maybe No Man's Sky will go that same direction themselves and make those changes themselves with DLC or just free updates or whatever. Maybe even an expansion where they add those things in there. Would be a neat thing to see. But only time will tell. I'm giving this game a 4 out of 5. So what did you think of No Man's Sky? Do you think Sean Murray should be hunted down for sport? Did you have any idea what Joe Danger was before No Man's Sky came out? Do you still have any idea what Joe Danger is? Whatever you think, let me know in the comments section down below, and I'll see you next time. just leaning back on the couch. It's not really professional to be just sitting here like, hey, what's going on? And just the more I talk, eventually I'm going to start leaning forward. But fuck, this is way more comfortable to do reviews like this. Just sit back and relax. Maybe that's the end of the video. I don't know.